Hello, my amazing artists. All right, we are going to be doing something fun today. Now, first grade, you've done this. Kindergarten, you have not. So I'm going to go through the whole thing just in case maybe you weren't here last year and didn't do it, even if you are in first grade. All right, so we are going to be making the background paper to one of our art projects. So we want it to be really colorful and pretty. We're going to be making a tie-dye paper. We're going to be using these little squares of tissue paper. Now, this is tissue paper. It's not the kind of tissue you blow your nose with, but this is the kind of tissue that goes in like presents, except for this kind of tissue paper is called bleeding tissue paper. And that just means when you get it wet, the color comes out of it. So we're going to use the color. We're going to make the color come out onto our papers. All right, so I've cut these into lots of little squares. Now, this stuff is not cheap and it takes me a really long time to cut all these little squares. So please don't waste them. If you get them out of the tray from the middle of your table, you need to use them. If they fall on the floor, you need to use them. If you crumble them, you need to use them, okay? We're not gonna waste them. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna start by getting a little pile, and little, I just mean little, and putting it by your stuff. That way you're not having to reach into the middle every time you need tissue paper, especially if your hands get wet. You don't wanna reach in there. It will ruin all of these, okay? Once you get a little pile, then you're gonna get a brush. You're gonna get your brush wet, and all you're gonna do is wet the paper a little bit. When you wet it, you're gonna take your tissue paper and lay it on the water, and you're gonna see it stick. But that's not it. After you get it stuck down, then you're gonna use your brush and you're gonna get the whole thing nice and wet. You want it soaking wet and flat to your paper. You're gonna see that color start to seep out, okay? That just means the color is moving from the tissue paper to the white paper underneath it. Now, we're not painting with that color, okay? And then you're gonna do the same thing again. Get your paper wet, put a tissue paper on it, and then get it wet on top. And you're gonna cover the whole paper with tissue paper, okay? Do not pull the tissue paper off. We're gonna pull it all off next week, and it's gonna be all the way dry, okay? So we're gonna leave the tissue paper on it until next week, and then we will pull it all off, and you're gonna get to see all the color underneath. So this one, you can see that color coming out. Now, you can, if you want, you can spread it around, but even if you spread the color around, you still have to cover it with tissue paper. So I wouldn't do that if I were you. I would just leave it alone. Now, they're gonna mix a little bit, especially where they're touching, and that's fine. But you don't wanna start piling them on top of each other, because then you'll make brown and black, okay? And if, please, please, please don't take more than one and start laying them on, because all that does is mix them together and waste the tissue paper. Please just do one at a time. If Miss Berry sees you doing that, she's gonna stop you and you're not gonna get to do it at all with us, okay? This takes the whole class. You have to be patient. If you get tired, I want you just to stop and take a second, okay? Make sure they're nice and wet before you move to the next one. If you start making puddles on your paper, then just start laying tissue paper on the puddles, and you can use those puddles to help you a little bit, okay? And the darker colors, just like markers, are gonna show up darker on your paper than the lighter colors. I took out all the brown, blacks, and the white, but there is a light pink like this, and you can use it, but just know it doesn't have much color in here, so it's not gonna show up much on your paper either, okay? And you're gonna work all the way till you get all the way to the edges. If you spread them out, you still have to do between them too. All right, y'all have fun. Take your time. When you put these away, make sure you carry them like a cafeteria tray like this, so that these tissues don't come off and they don't drip everywhere, because they're gonna be pretty wet when you put them away today. All right, have fun.